Goodness gracious, is it cold outside, but glad to have you back here on the Bomber Buzz. We took kind of a winter break hiatus over the Christmas break. We kind of left you with a couple episodes before Christmas break. Things got hectic mid-December. It seemed like every day we had a basketball game, so just never had time to get some guests in the studio. Well, now we do. We're going to have special guest Laykin Moore here in the next couple of minutes, the most recent 1,000-point scorer in the long history of the Mountain Home Lady Bomber basketball program. Hope you enjoy that interview. Recapping a few things, our Bomber bowling programs, they've been rolling along, no pun intended. Bomber boys, they're putting up some pretty good numbers, couple averages in the low to mid 200s over some matches. They got a good shot to go make a run at a state title. And boys bowling, don't know what usual powerhouses Benton and Jonesboro have, but it seems like they'll have as good a shot as anyone to try to win a state title in boys bowling. Girls, they're getting better every game. They got a lot of girls on that team that, this is their first year on the bowling team, and they're doing pretty solid this year. They're most recently at a match, Calico Rock in Izard County. A lot of local teams that they play in that. That's always fun to keep up with. Swim, Caleb Dew, he's on a warpath in the pool. I mean, it's really fun to keep up with them. What they're doing, it just stinks that we don't have a pool on campus, so every event that they have is on the road. So it's the rare sport where that's a thing where they literally cannot play anything here. And it's fun to keep up with them, but I just hate that, they don't get to perform in front of like our home fans or anything like that. But a lot of people keep up with them, so that's always fun. Lady Bombers, they're rolling along. They were recently on a 14-game winning streak. They're one of the best teams of the state of Arkansas. They ran into a buzzsaw against Farmington, but, I have full confidence in our girls and our coaches that gap will close, and hopefully there's a chance to play them a third time, later down the road as things transpire in the conference. Bomber boys, they have been in some real competitive games. They lost by 2 to Farmington. They lost by 2 to Harrison. They were in it. We had Van Buren, so they're right there. They're just waiting to kick down the door, and by golly, they could go on a 10-game winning streak, and it really wouldn't shock anyone in that locker room or anyone around that program. And I just hope they kick that door down soon, because I know it can be done. I know it can be done for them. We got spring sports tuning up. They got photos getting taken here in the next couple weeks. February is right around the corner. Bomber baseball, softball, soccer, track and field, all those are going to be back in action shortly. But before that, it is basketball season, it's bowling season, and swim season, along with wrestling. Our wrestling teams, they're doing real good. They just had a home match against 3 different schools, They did really good there. They got one, they had one on Thursday. I can't remember who they play in that, but our wrestling teams, they're one of the more power programs in the state of Arkansas. They always have a shot in a lot of the weight classes in boys and girls. They got a ton of kids, it seems like. It seems like our second or third most populous sport across the board. It's fun to keep up with them, and I see them practice every day. And if you're ever able to, you need to come out to a wrestling meet. They have one a couple days ago, and of course they got a few more. Their senior night's coming up right around the corner, but I encourage you, it's fun to watch. When people think of wrestling, they think, oh, it's, where's the briefcase of money, where's the ladder, where's the folding table? But this is, I believe they call it Greek wrestling, where it's the wrestling they have in the Olympics. As you go up a weight class, you go from kind of a speed game to, you get to the heavyweight. I remember a couple years ago, Elijah Lag was our heavyweight wrestler. He was number 1 in the state, I believe, and he was playing the number 2 wrestler. I want to say he was from Searcy. I don't remember that exactly, but golly, you just drop what you were doing. I was doing some stuff, calling people up to get ready for their next match and a few other housekeeping things there. But, I just stopped what I was doing and I had to watch, and it's unbelievable, the talent that all those wrestlers have. And you might look at a kid or two, a boy or a girl, and think, man, they're a wrestler. They don't look like a wrestler. When you think of a wrestler, you think just a big heavy guy, stuff like that. But I mean, I want to say they have weight classes from 120 all the way to heavyweight. So there's a lot of kids that compete in this, and every time we have a home meet, I encourage you to come out and watch them. We're going to take a short little break. We're going to have Laykin Moore back on the other side of the break to talk about her achievements and where she's going to head off to college and a few other nice things there. I'm Dylan Conley. This is the Bomber Buzz. We'll be back in just a moment.
Small businesses are the heart of America. Like you, These entrepreneurs started out with a dream and the drive to build a better life. If you have a small business idea to grow or challenge to face, you don't have to go it alone. Since 1964, SCORE has helped millions of entrepreneurs build their businesses. Today, they are the nation's largest nonprofit source of expert mentoring, resources, and education. Whether you're starting out, building back, or have worked at it for years, SCORE will match you with specialized mentors. Our thousands of volunteers provide the guidance and connections you need for free. Your success is waiting. SCORE is ready to help. Find a mentor today at SCORE.org.
Back on the Bomber Buzz with the newest 1,000-point scorer in the history of Mountain Home Lady Bomber basketball, Laykin Moore. Laykin, that's a lot of points.
It is.
So just a quick recap. What percentage would you say each of those points are? What percentage would you say were 3-pointers, 2s, or free throws? Would you say it seems like it's even?
I would say,
if I looked at it,
pretty even. I'd say less free throws, more 3s and 2s than anything. But I'd definitely say 2s and 3s were pretty even. Because
it's different ways. The old saying, different ways to skin a cat. I've seen players where it's all layups, it's all free throws, and then some it's all 3s and some it's both. But
yeah.
I mean, did you think that when you're a little 7th grader, did you think that you'd be a 1,000-point scorer?
It was always one of my goals because I saw Hannah Pfeiffer do it and then I saw Wyatt do it and I was like, okay, I can do this. It was always one of my goals. I didn't think I would do it probably as quickly as I did, but
I mean, because when you reached that, we hadn't even reached conference yet. We were playing you got the last game of the Christmas tournament against North Little Rock, and it was the last point of the game. So it was a technical free throw, and I was like, because you were there the whole game, and you're sitting there at 9:98, and I'm just thinking in my head, God, I don't want to wait 2 weeks, because from that game to the Harrison game was about 10, 11 days.
For sure.
So, I mean, that's pressure. I mean, it's not like we tell you the number, but you guys are smart. You keep up with it.
Yeah, and it was I didn't really go into it thinking I have to get it right now.
You're just trying to win.
I was just trying to win, but I think subconsciously that definitely messes with you.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, we all saw, I couldn't put the ball in the bucket at all that game almost, and it definitely subconsciously gets with you, and I was really thankful that they got the technical free throws so I could just get it over with, honestly, and then go into conference okay, I don't have to worry about it. Exactly.
That kind of happened on a much smaller scale, I saw with Hannah and Wyatt, because they knew it was coming because, at least at a football school where you can only play 30 games a year, all you got to do is average 10 points a game.
Right.
And you're a 1,000-point scorer. 10 and some change, you're a 1,000-point scorer. But, of course, those two were averaging way more as sophomores and juniors. So it's coming. But when did you realize that, hey, I could be pretty good at this basketball thing?
Well, I obviously wasn't very good in 7th grade, and COVID hit, and I spent a lot of time just outside because, there was really nothing else to do.
That's right.
So I just honestly played basketball all freaking day long, and I would get into AAU tournaments, and I just started getting buckets, and I was like, okay, wait, if I keep doing this, I could actually... I
go to college for free if I do this.
Yeah, I could keep making myself out of this. And, honestly, after that, I just never stopped working, and I am where I am.
So you're well-versed in the history of the Lady Bombers. This is one of the most historic programs in the state of Arkansas. There's the Jonesboroughs of the world, the Fayettevilles, and then, right there is us. What was your earliest Lady Bomber basketball memory? Watching a game or... Or you could tell me the first player you saw and you're like, man, I want to be her. So obviously everyone knows me and Emma Martin are very tight. And I consistently started coming to games when she was a freshman. I would go here and there. So you knew her even then?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've known her for forever almost.
What's funny is a lot of people I know, of course, but a lot of people think man, that's younger sister.
Yeah, we do get that a lot, and we act very similar.
Yeah.
So she's a great person to look up to. But consistently, I started coming around her 9th grade year, and I would just watch, and the way they handled themselves, it was just so much fun to watch. And I was just okay, I want my group to be like that. and I want to be like them. And so that's kind of my goal now is I want the younger players to look at me and say, I want to be like her. I want to look like her, you know?
So it's a big thing as a player of your stature, you know, even no matter what player on the roster to help for a top flight practice, you know, if you're like, we have a top flight jamboree this Saturday, you know, it's big to, you don't have to go like the whole day, but like just say, hey, I'm coming to watch you.
Yeah.
I mean, that's it makes kids feel special. It makes that, you know, little 4th or 5th grader like want to stick around because they're like, man, they know you, but I've seen it a lot with our boys and girls. They see like, man, you know, Ryder's here tonight, man. You know, Wyatt's here today. You know, all those guys, they'll go watch our top flight kids because that means a lot.
For sure.
I mean, you went through our top flight program. I mean, was that a big thing? Because I know all of our girls, Coach Leonard makes it a point of emphasis for our girls to help with that.
For sure. I thought it was always so cool when the high schoolers would come. Like when I was in top flight, when the high schoolers would come.
You were like, whoa.
And because they were like celebrities to me, you know. And so I always make sure that I give that back and I talk to them. And I obviously work with a lot of them. I do lessons with a lot of
I've seen you do
kids.
lessons with a few. I was going to ask about that.
Yeah, I work with a lot of kids. In the 7th grade program, I work with Sophia Kaminsky and Lolo Fulcher. And so I definitely text them after that 7th grade tournament and let them know. But I love working with the kids because I feel like I'm giving back to the program.
Yeah, I mean, that's another thing that Coach Leonard talks about. I mean, I've seen so many former players just come back. Now, I know Emma comes back to work out, but I mean, there's just completely random women say, hey, I played for Coach Leonard like in 2003. You know, where's he at? I'm like, it's down the hall. That's big. I mean, I noticed that with our boys and our girls. Like, we have so many alumni come back. You know, they might not have touched a basketball in 10 years, but like, hey, I want to see Coach Husky. I want to see Coach Fulcher. I want to see Dell, you know, all these guys. I mean, that's a big thing for Mountain Home is just the respect for the past as well, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, it's just a special program to be in, boys or girls. Like, it's such a family. Like, I've never met some of the girls who you said would have played in 2003, but it's like we're almost
you weren't
like
even alive then.
No,
so.
I wasn't. And it's almost like we're a family. Like, I get them and they get me because we've been through it and we know about it, and it's just such a special thing to be a part of.
Well, that's like during, you know, the big thing that we have is our alumni scrimmage before, you know, it's a practice, but our alumni will come back and we'll scrimmage them and all that stuff. But just the alumni from like 2003, 2005, 2006, and they'll see like, you know, you guys will miss a box out or something. Like Coach Leonard will get mad and they'll be like, yep, hasn't changed.
Hasn't changed.
And I always hear like, man, he's gotten softer. I'm like, no, he's still the same. He's a different animal, but the same beast, I guess.
Definitely.
So that's one thing I've always enjoyed seeing. And it's another thing, you know, with the two programs combined, the boys and the girls, you know, we have a lot of teams in our conference that have to travel a long way. Of course, Harrison's the only one. That's an hour. But like Van Buren, Alma, Greenwood, Farmington, Sila, all those are 3+ hours away. And I'll see, you know, the girls' game gets done. Well, they all load the bus, they go home. But this is one of the few programs I've seen where the girls stick around, watch the boys' game, even if we're on the road somewhere. Now, like if we're at Greenwood on a Tuesday, I get it. But it's like, I forget who we were playing last year, but it was a Friday night and a big game for the boys and girls. Like, it was a fight for a playoff spot. And the girls just hit the road after the game. And I'm like, I don't know how that's possible.
No, I love the support. Like, we support each other, the programs. I remember we were playing in non-conference. We were playing at Springdale. And we had a big game against Greene County Tech.
I remember you texted Coach Fulcher and said, hey, is there a chance y'all could come by?
Yeah, I texted, and I was just kind of joking. Like, I would like them to come, but, like, I was not expecting it. And they got done with their game at Farmington, and they trucked it over to Springdale. And basically, we had a student section for that game, and it was awesome. Coach Leonard and Coach Husky never take the bus home after our games. We always stay and watch the boys. It's just great support to have, and we genuinely care for each other too. So,
I mean, that's like after you guys got done with your game. I mean, it'd be real easy, you know, after a result like that, just go home and you know, just go to sleep. But I mean, you were up front in the student section. Anna was there. All of our girls were pretty much there. I mean, you never see that anywhere.
No, I think that we have to give that support because we want them to do the same for us.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So you're heading to Harding. later this year. I don't mean to tell you it's right around the corner.
Don't remind me.
So that whole process. So how many offers did you end up with? If I remember right, it was over.
Over 10.
Yeah, I would say it was about a dozen.
Roughly, yes.
So who was the first one?
Southern Mississippi.
That's right. I remember them. Mm-hmm. So that you had Southern Mississippi, you had a few others like UCA was talking to you. You had Florida Gulf Coast talk to you.
Yes.
Tell me about how that recruitment process goes.
So I played AAU. That's where most of the recruiting comes. Of course. So
who was that? AA? That wasn't AAL, was it, that you played with?
I played with Shock.
That's right.
Oklahoma Shock.
That's like around Tulsa.
Yes. We practiced at Farmington, actually.
That's right.
Met in the middle. That was a really good program. We had a lot of good girls. I mean, I was playing in front of Power 5 coaches every game because we just had dudes on our team. And it really taught me to play in front of those coaches with no, nerves, I had to learn to just play. And that was probably the biggest thing that I got out of AAU. And obviously I got some looks from the mid-major D1s, the D2s, all of that. When I was little and growing up till about my sophomore year, I'd even say junior year, I had my heart set on Division I basketball. Mm-hmm. And then I go on my visit to Harding, and in my mind it was okay, I'm just going to check this visit off the list. I'm probably not going to go D2. I have my heart set on D1. Mm-hmm. And you get there and the atmosphere of Harding is just, it changes your whole mindset. And it's just like Mountain Home, the community support, the teammates, just the family aspect of it. And I was okay, I actually see myself here. And then I continued to I just was okay, I'll keep this in the back of my mind. And I just continued to think it over, pray about it. And I just realized okay, this is where I need to be.
This is home.
Yeah.
The good thing is it's 2 hours from home.
Yeah,
so it's
exactly.
not you could have taken one of your offers that's 12 hours away. Mm-hmm. And it would have been perfectly fine.
Yeah.
If you're happy. But that's the thing about, you hear a lot of kids, not just you guys, but just a general say, well, it's D1 or bust. I'm you could go to a D2,
be a dude.
like a Harding right there, and then that's a program that's better than a lot of D1 schools.
Right.
Those are the schools that D1 teams don't want to play because they're man, we don't want to lose to this D2 school.
Exactly. And
you can even go JUCO. I mean, there's different routes. It's not just D1 or bust. I mean, you could get college paid for.
That's
everywhere.
The goal is get college paid for. And I think as far as going to a mid-major D1, that's awesome. But there's really, if you make it to the March Madness tournament, I mean,
you're going to play a
chances,
UConn
right?
in stores or something.
Exactly. And D2, Harding plays for a national championship almost every single year. So it's something to play for. And that's my thing is I need something to play for.
Yeah.
And I think being able to compete for that is going to really just help me. And I love that stuff. So.
And again, the more I've been there now, I'd watched them from afar. When I was in high school, Harding's men were nationally ranked. They made a Sweet 16 run or Elite 8 run, I can't remember. And, Rhodes Reeves Fieldhouse, one of the best venues in college basketball. When I've gone there more because of Wyatt Gilbert being there and just watching, I'm man, this is it's got Mountain Home feel to it. It's I walked in the building, I'm this is Mountain Home, but in black and gold.
Right.
Because there's people behind me that, I was talking to one guy at one game I went to. He's I've been at every Harding home game for 25 years. And I'm oh my God.
Yeah.
That's it's the same thing. I'll see at Mountain Home. It's I'll see some of the same faces. Like last night, I saw the Deweys were there watching. I'm they don't have a kid here, but they're still watching.
They still support.
And there's people there's people that I know that haven't had a kid in the school for 8-9 years and they're still watching.
Exactly. And
that's a big
what
thing.
I was looking for. I was looking for that. I want a Mountain Home feel, and I want that because we're spoiled at Mountain Home. You go to other schools, they don't have the crowd we have.
No.
They don't have the student section we have. They don't have anything like that, and that's what I was looking for. And Harding definitely has that.
Now, I want to mention that too. We play in a fun place. I mean, we go to. I don't want to just rattle off names, but there's a lot of places we go to. You're God, this place is boring.
Right.
There's no mute. It's just instrumental music. There's 80s rock playing, and I just think in my head, and it's not just in basketball. It's a lot of sports, and I'm God, why would a kid want to a kid doesn't get excited to play in this. I'm like, you got to like basketball to want to play in an atmosphere like that. How much does that help at a home game?
Oh my gosh, it's obviously our
plus with all the new fun stuff that we have now with the video board and all that stuff.
Definitely, that helps. The student section is amazing for us, and it helps us out so much. Just getting it amazes me how much that you can get into someone's head just by having that student section there. And what I've liked to see is over the course of my high school career is they've started showing up for the girls' game.
Yeah.
Like they're there at 6 o'clock, and that is awesome for us because I feel like we're really fun to watch.
Oh yeah.
And seeing them start to show up at 6 o'clock for our games and then staying for the boys, like that's just such a good family feeling. Like I love the support for the girls' program too.
I mean, it's like, and I'll use an example here. Like a Greenwood. Greenwood Mountain Home. That was the 2 best teams in our conference last year, probably 2 of the top 4 teams in Class 5A at least. And you get there for the girls' game at Greenwood, and there's it's hardly anybody there. And it's the boys' game rolls around. It's like, this is a good boys' game too. It's like, you just, you don't feel bad for it, but it's like, man, this is supposed to be a big game. But at our place, it was packed to the ceiling. Right.
It's just different. Like everything about us is so different. And I think the schools and our social media and everything that you do has made it so such a culture for us. Like the student section has became a culture for Mountain Home, and I love that. Because
I've heard so many coaches say, man, I do not want to play at Mountain Home.
Right.
That's
and that's what we want.
If someone wins here, I always hear once or twice, man, we escaped. we got lucky.
Yeah, it's they fear us, and they should.
Because it's kind of like Duke playing at Cameron Indoor. It's Duke playing Duke anyway is just that's difficult. But when you play them there, it's man, if you win here,
that's a big deal.
And it's been you've had ups and downs as a program. The boys. Some years they're top of the conference. Some years they're grinding to get into state. Kind of like this year. But it's the same. It's God, nobody wants to come play Mountain Home.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. We'll give you a run for your money no matter what, because Mountain Home kids just play hard. But when you come here, we're definitely giving you a run for your money no matter what.
The thing that no matter what the record is, I've always appreciated about Mountain Home is people come support.
Right.
Because if you're playing as hard as you can and you're trying your best, that's good enough. That's good enough for them to come support you.
Right.
And I can appreciate that. There's a lot of places, as they get better, the fan involvement gets bigger, there's more people, but then I've seen them kind of take a dip, and then it's it's a ghost town. And I that's why I love working here, just because of that. But
for sure.
So when did you first... What basketball was your first sport, correct? But what else did you play growing up?
So
I know you played volleyball. I remember that.
I played volleyball. I was a big gymnastics girl.
You told me that. Yeah,
yes.
You said it came down to something about you couldn't do both, so you're like, I guess I'll pick basketball.
Right, and I was on it, I was good at gymnastics, and that was always my thing. And I would just, obviously I'd play basketball. My friends were in basketball, all that. Well, around 4th grade, it just became too much, because I was having, dance and gymnastics every single day, and then top flight, obviously, twice a week. So my parents were like, okay, you're not going to be able to do both forever. So I was like, okay, my friends play basketball, so...
I mean, do you ever think about if you stuck with gymnastics? Because
I'm so glad I didn't.
Yeah. Well, if you think about what a gymnast looks like, they don't they're tiny.
They don't look like
they're
me.
5'3".
No.
You're close 5'10", 5'11". So
and
it's
honestly, my dad was like, Laykin, you're already getting too tall for this. You're gonna have a bad back. You might as well just play basketball. And one time, it was actually, I was probably a third, fourth grader, and Buck Gilbert always worked out with me, I was in the gym with Buck, and my first top flight tournament came around, and Buck was coaching me. And after the game, my dad goes up to Buck, and he was like, Buck, I think I'm just going to keep her in gymnastics. There's no hope for this kid. And Buck was like, well... Maybe wait it out. So I'm glad to say my dad's eating his words now, but he did have false hope in my basketball skills.
That's, a big message. Just because you suck in 5th grade doesn't mean they're not going to be okay or even good at it.
Definitely.
That's you said in 7th grade you were very average.
I was average. Yeah.
Not sure. Bad, but I mean, you weren't the best, you weren't the worst. You were just kind of
I was there. Yeah. I definitely think, like, I'm a core believer in if you get in the gym, you can be good at whatever you want. If you just work at it, spend 30 minutes a day.
Something's going to happen.
You can't get worse by doing that. So, I mean, I just really invested in that, and that's how I got where I am.
That's a big thing I noticed with all of the great basketball players we've had, boys or girls. It's like, what do they all have in common? You got to kick them out of the gym.
Right.
So, like, Emma was in all night, so they did. Wyatt was in, it seemed like 12 hours a day. Matt was the same way. Proctor was the same way. Every college basketball player we've ever had that in common. Like, you can't, we've never had someone they're just purely gifted at the game where they can go, just go through regular practice and then go home and be fine.
Yeah, we can't do that here.
No, it's not like there are players like that, but there's some that can get away with doing less. But I mean, you had to grind for where you're at.
Yeah,
I mean, if you didn't do that, I mean, who knows where you're at?
I'm probably average.
So you had a special privilege playing with this senior class, and it's a big senior class. I mean, normally you have, when you get to 7th grade, you have like a team of 12 or 15, then they start weeding themselves out, but it's been the same core group of girls there since forever. What's it like playing with like Sarah, Witten, Addison, Anna, all those all the way through? That's a rarity where you have a starting 5 level group of girls come in.
Yeah. And we play, I mean, honestly, we started at Soul Sneakers. Like,
oh, gosh. That's
been our team for as long as I remember. And it's awesome because obviously I've grown up with them and they're my best friends. So getting to play with them. And I'm dreading the day where it's going to be our last game together, but I don't even want to think about it. But it's definitely awesome because we just know each other. And, like, it's like me and Witten. Me and Witten know exactly what we're going to do on the floor because we're that close.
You're on the same wavelength.
Yeah, we know. Like, Witten could back cut. I don't even have to look. I can make that pass because I know where she's going to be.
And same thing with Sarah, same thing with Anna.
Right.
And then, you have underclassmen that you've played with a lot. Like when you guys were in 9th grade, they brought up this little redheaded guard, Jayla Yonkers.
Yeah.
And she's playing up with you, and you've basically played 4 years with her.
Right. Yeah, Jayla was huge for us in 9th grade, and I think her playing up was the best thing for her because she got to, it basically just made her grow up in basketball so much faster. And I was really happy that she was a part of that because she was a big help. And I think that really shaped her to where she is today. And she's a great player now.
So I'll ask you before I cut you loose. So obviously you're going to graduate at some point, and then you know what's coming back next year. I mean, what do you see in the future for like a J-Lo or a Brooklyn, Olivia, or whoever else you're playing with this year?
I think they're all, they're grinders, all 3 of them. They're going to stay in the gym. I think they can have a great year next year, too, and I think all 3 of them will play college basketball.
I mean, I would find it hard to believe that they wouldn't be able to because I know Jayla's got a bunch, Brooklyn's got a bunch of offers, Livy's got some interest and some offers now. But,
Definitely.
I mean, I look back at that, and I hate to bring it up. I look back at that Farmington game last night. It's probably the first basketball game I've ever seen here where all 10 girls on the floor are going to play college basketball.
Definitely.
Like, it's not like, one might play, she might run track in college, and she's also got basketball. No. It's like, no, all 10 of these girls.
All of them are playing college basketball.
All 10 of them are going to play. And it's not like they're going to a JUCO. It's like, you're going to Harding. Jayla's got D1 offers. Brooklyn's got D1 offers. They had girls at Farmington. One's going to Minnesota. 2 going to Pitt State. So it's not like there's not even JUCO talent out there.
No, it's all high-level basketball, and I think that's probably the first time in Arkansas history that's ever happened. Arkansas girls basketball history.
I mean, I'd probably, it'd have to be like North Little Rock playing Fayetteville or somebody like that where there's a ton of talent there anyway, or a Jonesboro. But that's a unique thing about our girls is like, I can't remember that
ever happening. Yeah.
I mean, the closest thing is our boys a couple years ago when you had Wyatt, Matt, and Proctor.
Yeah.
And then the other 2 people we had on the floor went and played college baseball and then, college baseball also. But, I mean, that's the closest I've seen. But all 5 of our starters and, you have 1 or 2 people off the bench that could go play in college if they wanted to.
For sure.
That's rare.
It is.
Does that mean, I know Anna's going to go off to Lindenwood, and the ones we just talked about, they still got a lot to figure out. But is that big to know, like, hey, every day in practice, I'm going to see a college-level talent ahead of me?
Right, and that honestly helps us so much because of the competition in practice. And I think that's why we're so good, because we're so competitive with each other, and you just have that high level of talent competing every single day.
Well, Laykin, we got about a month and a half left of the season. I know what the obvious end goal is, but what are we trying to do at the end of the year?
Well, hey, we're going to win that state championship.
I think so.
I think we're going to continue to fly under the radar. People might have seen that score from Farmington game and thought that, we can't beat them, but I fully believe that we can, and anyone else in the state as well.
I mean, you got to have that. You got to have that belief, because whether you believe you can or you can't, you're right.
For sure.
I forget. Yeah. I think that's a Coach Webbism. I think that sounds like something he'd say.
Sounds like Coach Webb.
Laykin, you got anything else you want to say hi to old Dana and Win, or?
Sure. Hi, Mom and Dad.
Okay. Well, yeah. Now that I forced you to do that, but you got anything else?
I don't think so.
That's Laykin Moore, the latest 1,000-point scorer in the history of Mountain Home. Go Bison, go Bombers.
Yeah, that's right.
We'll be back in a moment with more on the Bomber Buzz.
Every 65 seconds, someone in the United States develops Alzheimer's disease. Many don't even know it.
I was lucky. We caught this at the very earliest stages. Pieces of my past are being erased.
Bright Focus Foundation's Alzheimer's Disease Research Program has invested more than $175 million in breakthrough research. Call us at 1-855-345-6237 or visit us online at brightfocus.org/brainhealth to learn more.
Really hope you guys enjoyed that interview with Laykin. Always love talking to Laykin. She's going to do incredible things the rest of this season and go off to Harding and have a great career over there. And essentially, what's the collegiate version of Mountain Home? And that's going to be fun to keep up with her. We're going to have a bunch of great guests lined up over the course of the weeks. A few Lady Bomber basketball players, some coaches, some wrestling coaches, just everyone. And then we're going to roll right into the spring events with baseball, softball, and everything. We'll have our schedules up for those spring events as they get finalized here in the coming weeks on their respective social medias. You could also find them at mhbombersports.com under your favorite sports tab. Be sure to download the Mountain Home Athletics app. You'll get up-to-date information on all your sports. You'll get score updates if you want them. You want to know how baseball did against whoever they may play, basketball, how they did last night. You can find it out at the touch of a screen. You can find out on your phone, computer, tablet, or other device how everything went. It's been a fun tool to have that this school year. I heard a lot of great things about it, but be sure to download that Mountain Home Athletics app. It's on the Google Play and the App Store. You can go to mhbombersports.com, essentially the same thing, it's just web-based, but we'll have all those out here in the coming weeks, and we'll have results for all of our sports going on now. Hope you have a good rest of your day wherever you may be listening. Hope you enjoyed this one. Again, we'll have new episodes every week throughout the end of the school year. I'm Dylan Conley, your host. I hope you have a good rest of your day.